Large language models, they're everywhere. Sometimes they hit the nail on the head, and other times, not so much. Hi, I'm Omkar from Supervity AI, and today we are driving into a powerful way to make large language models smarter, accurate, and more current on your data. It's called RAG or Retrieval-Augmented Generation. Sounds fancy, but don't worry, we'll break it down. Let's start with the generation part. That's just your typical large language model, an LLM, doing what it does best, generating text based on a prompt. You ask a question, it gives you an answer. But here's the catch. Sometimes that answer is confidently wrong. Let me give you a relatable example. One of my students asked that, hey, in our solar system, which planet has the most moons? Naturally, I went full space nerd mode and I said, hey, it's Jupiter, 88 moons. I read it in an article, trust me. Except I hadn't checked that fact in like 20 years. And turns out I was wrong. The real answer at the time, Saturn, 146 moons. So let's understand what went wrong. Two big things. Did not cite a source. And two, my info was outdated. And guess what? Large language models suffer from the exact same issues. They're trained on the data from the past, they don't have access to real-time updates, and when they answer, they don't always show their work. They're trained on the data from the past. Now imagine if I'd taken a second to Google it that according to NASA, it's Saturn with 146 moons, I would have gotten an updated answer. That's one part of the idea behind RAG. Instead of relying on what the model was trained on, we give it access to a content store. Now, what does the content store consist of? A library of documents, databases, live web data, everything what you believe is internal which will make the RAG agent intelligent. This is the retrieval part. So when you ask it a question, the model first retrieves relevant info and then it generates based on the info given on that. Let's give you a walkthrough of how it works. Step 1, you ask a question. Step 2, instead of instantly replying, the model checks its retrieval system, pulling up relevant documents or passages. Step 3, it combines that information with your question. Step 4, only then does it generate the final answer, now grounded in real data. This changes the game. First, it solves the outdated info problem. You don't need to constantly retain your model every time the world changes. Just update the content store. New data goes in and your model stays current. Secondly, it tackles the source problem. Now, the model is pulling facts from traceable documents. It can cite evidence. It's not just guessing, it's referencing. Bonus over here is that it also reduces hallucination. You know when a model makes up completely believable but totally fake answers? RAG helps avoid that by anchoring the response in real content. Even better, it teaches the model a very human skill, knowing when to say, I don't know. If the retrieval system doesn't surface anything useful, the model can just say, I couldn't find enough information to answer that, which, let's be honest, is much better than confidently making something up. Of course, this is not a silver bullet. If the retrieval step fails, maybe it pulls low quality or irrelevant content. It's always a garbage in or a garbage out problem. Then even a good model might give a bad answer. That's why both sides matter, a sharp retriever and a sharp generator. At Supervity AI, we're working on both the fronts, making retrieval systems faster, more precise, and improving the generation step so that it delivers rich, thoughtful, context-based, trustworthy answers. So next time when you heard RAG, don't think laundry, think smarter, safer, and AI trained on your documents. See you in the next segment.